I want to bring forth to say I apologize for everything that I've said about Zack Snyder over the past 5 years. And I want to say it because he has really done the impossible today. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. This movie is a historical moment for filmmaking. Now, I'm letting Zack Snyder's Justice League soak in a little bit. I don't think it's the greatest movie of all time. It is certainly up there with one of the best superhero movies I've seen. However, there are some things that I probably would have changed. Usually, it never really takes 4 hours to complete a really good story. And I should bring up the fact that I've seen Lord of the Rings so many times, okay? But when it comes to Lord of the Rings, you need to take into account that J.R.R. Tolkien had that story in mind, and it's a long story. It's a very long story. And it's one that I couldn't even possibly read, especially at my age. It's a long book, and I don't want to waste my time reading it. But the Justice League is something that doesn't really require like a 4-hour runtime. And you're going to bring up the fact that, well, you liked Avengers Endgame. Well, yes, I did like Avengers Endgame. Now, looking back at it now, Avengers Endgame, to me, is probably third out of the 4 Russo Bros movies that came out. Out of the 4 that came out, directed by the Russo brothers, Endgame ranks number 3. Because Infinity War is by far their most tightly knit and best story ever written. The Winter Soldier is the second best in terms of just sheer scope, and also the idea that these solo movies could also be big and as huge as Avengers movies. Endgame, which tied up the entire Infinity Saga with a perfect mini bow, and then Civil War, which is still good, but it's not as tightly knit as the other 3. Endgame suffers from its sloppiness, which I will forever forgive about it. It's a sloppy movie. It's never, ever going to be as tightly woven and tightly knit as Avengers Infinity War. Infinity War, to me, represents a big step up when it comes to Marvel. Okay, Infinity War was the movie that changed everything. And if Infinity War was going to change everything, Endgame was going to double that. Unfortunately, Endgame made it 3 hours. What I'm trying to say is, a perfect movie doesn't require a 4-hour runtime. That's all I'm really trying to say. And to combat that, what I would have done for Zack Snyder's Justice League is I probably would have split it into 2 parts. Part of the reasoning is I like movies in 2 parts. The other reasoning is there's a lot of build-up to the second half of the film. And the second half of the film is where it really shines. The second half is where it really shines. And that's where the part of maybe it being together is a good idea because you have to do all this waiting until the climax. But at the same time, it's like 4 hours. It much deserved a shorter runtime. Not to say that the runtime is the worst thing to ever come out of it. The characters sort of some characters fell apart. Ben Affleck in Batman was one of the best characters I've ever seen. But where characters fell apart was with Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Those 2 characters didn't get quite as much development as I'd hope they would. I was hoping for a lot more from those 2. Aquaman was just not very important to the story. Yes, of course, one of the mother boxes was in Atlantis, but I'm just saying, you know, I kind of really wanted to see more Aquaman. And for Wonder Woman, you know, yeah, they got the Wonder Woman movie beforehand, which, you know, was fine. But still, I really kind of wish that Aquaman was sort of put a little more front and center. You know, we already had Batman and Superman already figured out, and Superman was going to come back at the end anyway. So Superman didn't need that much development because Superman had Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and really what I'm trying to say in summarization is the movie kind of sidelines Aquaman and Wonder Woman in general. And I feel really bad about that. Now, the characters that shine out of the many characters is The Flash and Cyborg. Now, those two characters were just phenomenal, okay? We see more of The Flash being The Flash and his powers, and we also see more of Cyborg and his powers, and also we see sort of an alternate ending to the movie itself, because in the first cut, the heroes win. Like, they win, and that's just how it is. However, in this cut, the heroes fail. Okay, the heroes fail. But, there's a big but. The Flash ends up going backwards in time and saving the day. And it's so cool to see the Flash actually at that point. All in all, the Flash and Cyborg are the stars of the movie. Martian Manhunter was one of those characters that came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, they're really digging in deep. And I was excited. Martian Manhunter, while he didn't get a lot of screen time, he was there. He was there. He was like, okay, we're just acknowledging his existence. He's here. And I think it was a cool cameo. But at the same time, I'm like, there were some scenes that kind of just got ruined because of Martian Manhunter being there. One moment in particular when Lois and Martha Kent are talking to each other. And after that encounter, Martha Kent turns into Martian Manhunter. And I'm like, oh, great. Now that entire scene is ruined. That emotional scene is ruined between the two of them. But it was still cool to see that Martian Manhunter was there the entire time. I do like the ending scene with Lex Luthor and Deathstroke. It's very cool to see those characters again, especially because they were in a post-credit scene, but now they aren't. And I don't care what you guys say to me about this, but I think Lex Luthor, once he loses the hair, I think he will be he would have been a perfect Lex Luthor once he lost the hair. I think really it was the hair that was holding him back. Once he lost the hair, then I think he was going to be a good Lex Luthor. However, some people don't agree with me on that, and I know it's sort of like weird, but Lex Luthor is a psycho, is like a crazy person, okay? And I think Zack Snyder wanted to bring a different kind of craziness to the character of Lex Luthor. And I think Jesse Eisenberg was a perfect choice for it. I thought he was good. I thought he was okay. In terms of the dream sequence, and this is the big part, Joker and Batman. Okay? Joker and Batman, that scene in particular worked super well for me. Okay? This is the first time first and only time we'll see Ben Affleck and Jared Leto together in one scene. Okay? These two characters have been destined to meet since both of them have taken on their roles. And the sad part about it is that people push Jared Leto away too quickly. And I think this kind of redeemed Jared Leto as the Joker in sort of a way where it's back to that neutral position. We were excited for Jared Leto to be the Joker in Suicide Squad. We were disappointed so much. And then after seeing this movie, we now are back to the expectation. We're back to that expectation again. So pretty much I'm neutral on the subject. I think he was not the worst Joker. He wasn't the best Joker. I just think he's, he got his redeem. He's redeemed now. He got his redemption. And I think with time, I think he would have been a good Joker. And where I stand with Darkseid being in the movie, I think it was a good idea. I really kind of wanted Darkseid to be more of a character they bring in later. But that's just my Marvel self talking, because my Marvel self is more on the lines of building up to that character. And Zack Snyder didn't want to do it that way, okay? And I completely understand that. My problem with Darkseid, though, is he has too much screen time. I think he just has too much screen time. I would have liked less screen time from Darkseid, but that's just me. So to really summarize the entire thing I'm trying to bring about, I think it's a good movie. It's a true sequel to Batman v Superman. It takes its time to develop the characters that didn't get developed in Whedon's cut, like Cyborg and The Flash. And really, it takes a long time to do it. And Superman's return is so much better than it was in Whedon's cut. In Whedon's cut, it didn't show the consequences of bringing back Superman. In the Snyder cut, it shows the inevitable changes to the timeline. And I like that. I like that a lot. But that's about it for today's video. I'm gonna call it there. I thought it was a good movie. I would definitely probably give it I would say a 3 out of 4. It's not the greatest thing ever, but I still think it's a good DC movie. Out of all the DC movies I've seen, it's probably one of the better ones out there. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, and if you didn't like it, dislike it. That it is what it is. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. So, peace out, y'all.